Afternoon, good evening, or good morning. I'm Kathe Perez, and my co-founder and co-creator, Annika Kappenstein, is hanging out with us. And what we wanted to do was to go over some of the features, some of the tools that Eva offers up. And here's like backing way up some of the logic of what we did and as Annika and I first developed this. And you know some of the story if you've been following us along is she was actually a client of mine, and she has really good design and intuitive knowledge about how things in the world work. And so her first comment to me was, you know, as we were, I guess, student teacher, was, you know, you got this over there and that over there. It'd be nice if it were all together. And then she came on board to help me to create Eva. So one of the things that we did was to put in Eva on the tools page. You have 6 tools. They're all going to be active depending on which lesson you purchase. And we are still working on the Resonance Analyzer. If you had occasion to watch our last little video, which was looking at our questions, frequently asked questions, and some of the issues that we have and the ways that we're working to resolve those issues. So we wanted to talk a little bit about the tools, and there are 6 of them. We have the tuner tool and the pitch tracker, and they have different functions. So let's pull up the tuner tool first. And the way that and I'll Annika talk about design in a second, but the way that that works is we kind of did the tuner tool for dummies, which actually is an offensive phrase, but it's a common phrase, is that the more times we see the green circle of light, the more we know that the pitch is about where we want it to be relative to where the typical adult female would speak, knowing that we inflect all the time up and down. If we go too low, and you'll see the red circle, try to come closer out to the yellow circle, then I'm in my really low voice, and I don't want to be that low. If I'm in my really high voice, then the red circle is closer to the center.
My design philosophy basically is that design, especially when you are talking about user interface design, where you interact with a machine, should be ideally really invisible. So that was the great thing when the iPhone actually came on the market, and people were like, oh my God, you know, I'm really connecting with this device. I'm really like, it's almost like the glass became invisible and you were just like completely interacting with it. So in this sense, you are playing with your voice. So we kind of gamified the whole experience of learning to train your voice, because you're basically moving something on the screen with your voice, which is really cool because in our arena, the voice training, it really has never been done before. So making this whole playful game-like learning experience ties right into Kathe's very tried and true methodology of proprioception metacognition. So that was like the perfect fit. That's why we're actually doing this app. So you have your personal voice trainer in your pocket and can play on a moment's notice. So Kathe has already pretty much described how it works. So the more green you see, the better you are with your voice. We have built in quite a little bit of tolerance because we didn't want to make it so strong that you're like, oh my God, I really have to be very careful, because that would prevent you from playing with your natural voice, and you know, we didn't want to make it too rigid. So
most of us, our awareness of pitch really is not foremost in our minds, because we just talk. You know, talking is just second nature. So this becomes then a way to visualize my pitch, and then, as you said, it's easy to get dependent upon it, and that sometimes I have to tell people stop looking at it, because I want to be able to say that right now as I'm speaking, I have a visual memory of the green circle because I know I was just there. So I'm going to trust that I was. In fact, there I am. But I want to be able to feel it and sense it. So the tuner tool is a great way to get you in the right place. And then the next part, and it's in the videos and the training, is to help to keep you there. So now let's go to the pitch tracker, which becomes available when you purchase a lesson. The tuner tool is free for the download with the free lesson for EvaF. One of the things that is in the exercises is to get you aware of your voice. And one of the ways to become aware is to just notice what it feels like to change pitches. He. So what I want to do is to go up and down and up and down. So I say, oh, that feels different. So what I'm doing is I'm taking a pitch from about this pitch, which is A220, up to this pitch, which is about 277 C#4, and I'm going up and down to have an experience of changing my pitch. Then I can go the opposite direction. He. And I want to say, can I play enough with my voice and use the pitch tracker to track my pitch? And if I have good breath and good tone, and I'm neither too loud nor too soft, then the up-down motion should become apparent. In connected speech, there are pauses, there are voiceless sounds, which are kind of noisy sounds. So the pitch tracker is simply picking up some sounds that it can read, but it doesn't have to read every sound, so that you can see that the pitches are going up and down in the range you want them to be, slightly above or slightly below, depending upon where I want to be. So if I'm not using much of a sound and I'm too dark and deep, it's not going to show up. So the bottom line is 220, and I was talking, so if I talk below 220, you can kind of see the pitches up at the top, about D3, there's going to be a whole lot of space where it doesn't show up. So all the tools do is to give you a way to integrate pitch and breathing and the other elements that we're training to give you an awareness. So the pitch tracker is great. It's like an Etch-a-Sketch for the voice to give you an internal experience with your voice.
The Etch-a-Sketch metaphor here, which is actually kind of what you do. Again, you're painting with your voice on the screen, which is a very playful and intuitive methodology of learning. I want to go a little bit into the difference between the pitch tuner and the pitch tracker again, because both of them measure the pitch of the voice, but they do it very differently. The pitch tuner, which we've seen first, just measures. There's no time limit. It's on, and it's continuous. So you can just look at it while you read something, while you sing, while you play. The pitch tracker, there's a time limit. We have this 5 second from bar to bar, and then you can see what you do, then it stops, and then you can analyze. So it's a completely different methodology. It's not, oh, in the moment, I see exactly what I'm doing right now. Well, it's a little bit like that too, but you always have this burst of, okay, now I'm doing, and then you have time to, okay, what have I done? What is on the screen? What did I just do? Did I do great? Is there a little bit of a pause, a hiccup, anything? Let's try again, let's do better. So that's kind of the main difference between the tuner and the tracker.
Let's go now to the sound pressure level meter. And this is a little smidgy fussy in that you really need to have something that measures distance. And so I created a 30 centimeter stick, which is about smidgy off the length of a typical ruler. And I have this, and I want to hold it up and see the distance and then memorize that. Studies show actually that the average person holds their smartphone about 30 to 50 centimeters from their face, depending on how old you are and whether you need reading glasses or not. So between 30 and 50 centimeters is where most people will hold their phone. So you measure 30 centimeters and get used to what that feels like. Then you can trust that the distance from mouth to mic in the phone is where you want it to be. Well, the reason for that is, in my experience with training voices, specifically for transgender women, that as you get louder, your tendency is going to want to be to get lower pitch. So we tune the pitch. You grab your measuring stick, your 30-centimeter stick, and we program that so that green is good, just like with the pitch tuner. And when I talk, I can go really loud sometimes or really soft sometimes. But for the most part, all I need to do is to see is that I'm staying within the green section of the sound pressure level meter as I'm tuning my pitch and I'm tuning my loudness, and then as I'm communicating.
I don't know how many of you guys and gals have the memory of the tape deck, you know, old analog recording equipment. I'm from the generation where I impatiently sat in front of the radio when my DJ was on and was recording the greatest hits. And, you know, it had one of those analog sound pressure level meters. There too, you should not go as high to get into the yellow or the red, because then you would blow out the recording. And, you know, so there is a lot of similarities to the old technology here. And we're basically simulating it because it's just such an intuitive user interface. If you have a needle, the needle moves into green, you're okay. The needle moves into the yellow or the red, and you're not okay anymore. So again, we want to make it playful. We want to make it intuitive. And most of all, because it is a feedback that you get in real time, we need to make it fast. That's why it's analog, or it has the appearance of analog. If we would just flash some numbers on the screen, we already doing it at the bottom, so you can actually have a reference of how loud you are in this very moment. But if it was just numbers, it would be gibberish for you. It would not be a meaningful visual cue as to what to do and how to modulate your voice, or in this case, how to modulate your loudness.
And that's a really nice way to say that. So the modulation piece is how we express ourselves. So in lessons 13 and 14, loudness 1 and loudness 2, I'm teaching specifically to that idea. So sometimes measuring my distance, sometimes I'm going to want to get soft if I'm maybe reprimanding a loved one. Reprimanding sounds like a weird way to say that, but if I'm admonishing a loved one, you know what, sweetie, if you put the trash out, the dogs are going to get into it, so let's put it out on trash day instead of the night before. So I don't want to be harsh or unkind to my loved ones, but I might want to get soft to say something that feels serious. Or if I'm wanting to be loud, can I be loud and not lose my pitch? And that's exactly what we're training in the loudness 1 and loudness 2 for the beginners course. So you'll want to watch those videos, and then you want to go back over to this tool and look at it and play with it. Next tool is our Metronome, and it's just a simple back to analog concepts. It's a simple back and forth counting beats. And if you're musical, it's not about counting beats like you probably did in your pedagogy classes or your music appreciation classes, but it's about incorporating an internal sense of tempo and pitch to further create a dynamic speaker.
Borrowed from the old analog days, the metronome in its original conception and contraption was a metal device that you would actually wind up like a clockwork, and then it would actually go back and forth mechanically. So it's not even analog, it's actually mechanical, and mechanical instrument. So, but again, bringing this analog and this mechanical device onto the digital screen and make it playful, and simplifying it even. So everything that you don't need visually is gone. You just have the stick, moves around, gives you a visual clue. We have an audio clue in here as well. It makes tick tick, so you don't even have to look at what's happening. But if you are in a area where it might actually hinder you or if you want to record your voice and you don't want to have this tic-tac-tock, we also have the option of going completely visual. So the noise is now replaced by a flash on the screen. So very simple, very effective, very concise.
And that comes up specifically, I teach that in lesson 16. And what my big vision is internalizing a sense of tempo, which connects you to breath, which basically is a foundation to all of this. So it's not about being so rigid and really thinking about tempo like maybe a musician would. It's about internalizing a sense of rhythm, partly to integrate all of the elements and the techniques. And the other part is to keep adding to how dynamic a speaker are you, and do you want to be? Do you want to go fast sometimes or more slowly sometimes? So I love the metronome. I think you're going to love it too. So the last available tool that will become available in these next few lessons, 15 and 16, where we talk about pacing and phrasing, and that is our voice recorder. So within a lesson, if we were to go into a lesson and you're saying phrases, you're going to see that screen. But in a lesson, you're going to see the option of turning on your voice recorder, and then you're going to record. I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Then I want to stop it, and then I want to be able to play it back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
We wanted to remove everything that is in the way, that distracts. So it's a very streamlined interface that we have in the voice recorder. So when you hit the record button, there's the timer running. So you know, okay, it's running. It's more really like, okay, this thing is running. And then you know, okay, I have 10 seconds recorded. You hit the stop. Then you can hit the play button. And you can listen to yourself. So there is this notion, I'm going a little bit behind the scenes here in our development, there is this notion among software development of the MVP, the minimum viable product, which we have taken to heart. We don't want to introduce like a super feature-rich, totally fully developed thing, and then nobody's buying it, or nobody's using it. We thought, okay, let's put the really not only the minimum of a design in there to make it concise, but also to just make the minimum of functionality available, so that we're not overloading you with functions. So we are thinking about maybe in future releases to beef up the voice recorder, that you can actually save multiple recordings, name your recordings, so making a full-fledged recording app within Eva. But since there are apps like that available already, we're like, okay, let's hold off on this. Let's make it really simple. So you have one recording. The recording that you just did is being saved. Once you record something new, it's being saved over. We want you to be in the moment. We want you to be present. And then you can just rewind just the moment that you just experienced and analyze it. And then you go. And then you create the next moment.
I love that. The most minimal viable product. We had a lot of conversations about that. So for example, if we're in a lesson, and this particular one is a lesson that I'm building out right now, and the idea is I always want to be where the green circle of lights, 1, 2, 3, 3, let's say I want to record that. So I'm going to press record. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So how do I know that? Because the record symbol there is lighted, and then I can turn it off, and it says that my recording is over in the tools area. So I'm gonna, it says take me there. Well, in fact, I would like to go there, and so I'm gonna press record. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the practice that I just did was there, and then I can say to myself, you know, that's pretty darn good. I like that, and then just leave it there. or I'd like to do that over again, and I can do it as many times as I want to, because what I'm doing in that present moment, and thank you for mentioning that, is right at that moment I'm saying to myself, whatever the lesson is, can I think about breath, pitch, inflection, loudness, articulation, whatever it is, and can I do the goal, and can I listen to it and say, I've hit it? And then I have a sample where I've in fact done that. Now, as Annika mentioned, at this moment in time, it's a very minimal product. So we can go all the way out of the EVA entirely, and you know this. Click on your voice memo that is native to your phone and record and save from that point. So if I want to save beyond what I've just done, so that I have it for future weeks and months to compare it to, I will go into the native voice recorder within my smartphone and record and measure from there.
Well, the very exciting thing that we are working on is the resonance analyzer. So please stay tuned. This is going to be an amazing tool, which has, to my, or to our knowledge, never been done before. A tool that actually measures or can measure the femininity or the masculinity of your voice. So we're really excited to restart development on that. And as all the other tools, it'll be concise, it'll be simplified, and it'll be playful.
Thank you, Annika. And we are developing for you. We do want your feedback. So that was a little walk through the tools and some of the features of EVA. And I think it's still so important for me to say that the videos within each lesson are there to teach you the objectives of a particular lesson, so that those elements of your voice become integrated into this whole big motor program called My Feminine Voice or Your Feminine Voice. And then the tools are, after you have experience and knowledge of how to work with your voice, then go to the tools section of EVA and work specifically with those. So thank you so much for your feedback and for your questions to us. And as always, it is so important for us to ask you to spread the word and to give positive reviews on our iTunes through the app. It's important for us to understand how we can make this better. Thank you so much, and we look forward to hearing from you and seeing your positive reviews. Bye-bye.